Hello and welcome to Market Psychology 101, where we look for value in the markets when there's fear and are cautious when there's greed. In today's video, I'm going to be doing an altcoin special, and we're going to be taking a look at four different alts. Let's take a look at DOGE, Chainlink, AVAX, and then I'm sure it's way down here in the 50s. We'll also take a look at BONK down there in the 60s. So DOGE, AVAX, Link, and BONK. Taking a look at the fear and greed index, seeing where we are at, and crypto fear and greed. It's been down into the neutral high fear territory and still overall in a downtrend ever since November. So it is possible it could get lower, but we did just have a double bottom here on the fear index. And as we look for alts, for anyone new here to the crypto space, I've been here since 2017 and my views on the market hasn't changed. I know a lot of people talk about time cycles and lunar cycles and all these different things that have to happen for there to be alt season. Let me tell you this, the last two cycles, when did we get alt season? Was when Bitcoin topped or was in the process of topping. I don't believe that's happened yet. And we can take a look at the rainbow chart to see that. It hasn't gotten up into the orange bands or close to the red bands. It hasn't got up in the orange bands at all. It hasn't reached certain fib levels, certain price targets of mine. So I don't believe that we would see alt season yet, regardless of all the other things. And whether it takes 4 years, 5 years, I don't care. I look for opportunities like this when there are these corrections in the market to look for deals on altcoins. And that's why I wanted to make sure we do a bonus video. I'll do a live stream tomorrow as well on Friday. I think I'll do it at around maybe a little later than usual, 2 o'clock Central, around that time. So stay tuned. And again, we are looking for that rotation eventually once Bitcoin is done topping. I don't believe that has fully happened yet. If you are new to my channel, I talk about a lot of things crypto, the rainbow charts, the cycles, the indicators to watch and look for, the charts to watch and look for when we are waiting for alt season and for these alts to do well. And I just also try to treat these altcoins and mining stocks like I treat my own stocks. So getting in when there's good discounted value and trying to hedge ourselves against risk at least as well as we can. So talk about a lot of different things crypto. All right, going over to Bitcoin, what we have today so far is Bitcoin, it is getting further away from that 50-day moving average. That is that gold band right there. So the 100-day moving average is right here at around 93,100. And as you can see, last time Bitcoin came down to the 100-day, it was bought up nicely, but it is looking like it's losing the 50. So if this continues, then we might see it come back down there and maybe get support. This line right here, by the way, this trend line goes all the way back to the double top Bitcoin had last cycle. So the 100-day and that trend line from the double top is there. This line right here, this is the 102K 1.618 fib. Hasn't really been able to get above and close above that. And we see that reflected on the weekly. The weekly, we have these wicks. This week, you see this red square. We also have a sell signal, and I use Heikin-Ashi. So typically, when we get a sell signal on the weekly, you can see we might see it go down for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. So it is possible we might get some discounts. And ever since this move has happened, I've been waiting for it to stall it here at around the 102K area and maybe even retest, not just that double top trend line, but these two red bands here. Those are the 20-week moving averages. One is EMA, one's probably SMA. So let's get into it. Let's start off with DOGE, Link, AVAX, and BONK. So starting off with DOGE, I know we have some DOGE people out there that request TA on DOGE. And first thing, what do we see? From the all-time high, I drew a fib from the high to the low. There's many ways to draw fibs. This is one of them. After DOGE got up to the 786, you can see it never really fully took the 786. It did lose it, and first it tested this fib, the 618, came up, tested the 786 again, Had this big doji, even had a buy signal, but nope, wasn't strong enough. Came back down, candle body still on the 618, and it wicked down perfectly to the 50-week moving average. So you can see plenty of buyers there at the 50-week. I'm sure we'll see the 200-day. Before we get to the daily, let's take a look at some RSI charts. And I have to take off a couple of these. Let's take off our buy signal one, and we'll add on our stochastic RSI. And you can see Doge still in the process of bottoming out. So sometimes when it crosses down, it can be near where the lows are. But until we get this confirmation where it starts to turn up, where the blue's getting above orange, it's always possible, like over here, that it can still go lower. Now, this was in the range of the lows. I've seen where it stays down here, peaks up a little bit, comes back down, and goes a lot lower. So I don't think, regardless whether or not that happens, this is one of the things I look for as part of my dollar cost average strategy. Waiting for more confirmation, I look for those buy signals. I look for that positive turn. And let's say you like the 50-week moving average and you're going to buy some there regardless. Okay, I won't blame you. But I would, when we're falling this much, it's sometimes good to wait for those buy signals. As far as on the daily, what do we see? The 200-day and the 618 meeting together. However, look what's going on with Doge today. Now, to me, this makes sense. We just talked about Bitcoin, how it's coming off of the 50, what was it coming off of? The 50-day moving average. That's what I said. So maybe looking to go to the 100-day. While that happens, it's not surprising to see alts come down a bit. So remember, we had that 50-week moving average in here. Getting under the fib, losing the 200-day moving average, that is concerning. So next we do go to the weekly, and you can see there, I'd say that's the discounts to look for, as well as the 0.5 at around 19 cents. The 100 week would be at around 16. Another way to draw fibs, we can go from our recent high and go to whichever low you want. So we have a peak back here. We also have this 0.5 fib. And when we go here, we'll see that as far as the discounts are concerned, actually, yeah, this works. So it came down to the 3.2. It almost completely retraced back down. Heck, we can go down even lower. We can go down let's go down to the 3.2 fib. So some people believe that on the macro 3.2, as long as you stay above it, there's still some technical bullishness there. Sometimes I agree with that sentiment, sometimes I don't. But if we take a look at this as the discount from the peak that it had up here at around 49 cents down to the 3.2, where are discounts? The 0.5 right at the 618, 3.2, the 236. And you can see that 3.2 at around 22.5 cents. And that 50-week, that's getting bought off. So if we see Doge settling in candle body wise at around 22 cents, that could be why. I'm not going to do as in-depth analysis on all these, but that's just something to look for. Let's also take a look at RSI. And RSI, what do we see? Overall, this would lead me to believe that, there's still some bullishness here. So, yes, this RSI is coming down, but where is it going to bottom? It could turn around and come back up. We don't have bearish divergence on the weekly. And once it gets down underneath this 39.40 level, then we can see whether or not there's bearish divergence from the bottom. So if we have a bottom here and then a higher price but lower strength, then that would be additional reasons for concern. So we want to see where that RSI bottoms out. There's other indicators as well. I like this ultimate RSI, and you can take a look at that and say, well, last time the ultimate RSI peaked, it also came down a bit. So if we take a look at this peak where it happened near the ultimate RSI, it had an average drop at around 58%. And so from the recent peak it had to where it came down, would you look at that? It had an average drop of 58%. However, the RSI hasn't fully rolled over yet. And as you can see, from the time that it did, it still came down a bit. So from the time the RSI rolled over, we'll just go, I think it's just fib to fib there. It still rolled over another 34%. So that is possible for Doge. All right, let's go over to Chainlink. And so you guys got to make your own decisions as far as, where your discounted levels are, what you're comfortable with. But I will say, if you were buying before and you're not buying now, you need to reanalyze it. If you like something enough to buy it, for Link, for example, at 21, but you're not going to buy it at a discount when it's at 16, in my opinion, you shouldn't be buying to begin with. Not financial advice, but I don't understand. If I like a stock that much to buy it with my hard earned money, when it's at more of a discount, I want to buy more. And yes, you can get confirmation with some of those indicators, hedge against risk, make sure you're not trying to buy it before it falls off. But it's also impossible to time the bottoms exactly. So rather get it at a discount. So Chainlink went up to the 786 almost. It's been in this descending channel, breaking underneath it. But what do we see with Chainlink? Chainlink had this nice wick that got bought up off the 0.5 and the 50-week moving average. But the candle body, look at that. It's hanging on the 20-week moving average right there. If we take a look at some various indicators, let's just do the stochastic. Stochastic, I hate to say it, but it still has room to go down. So we can see here, yes, these peaks, they don't always line up with the very tops. So you can see this peak. Now you might be wondering, well, when Chainlink gets a bounce, is it going to go further up? We don't know, but we would be looking for that flip, that reversal process. And there was a brief one, but excuse me, still overall going down, still no reversal. Other indicator we can look at, the MACD, the moving average convergence divergence. You can see this is possibly getting ready to turn red, and if so, Chainlink would still have a ways to go. So those are two indicators, and there's no doubt we have a sell signal that would give me some caution. Now, with the buyers that came in here off the 50-week moving average and the 0.5, I might look to buy some if it comes back down to 16 again. If we go over to the daily, does it not look like it wants to do that? So wick down here, came back up, challenge. Look how this is honoring the fibs, by the way. This is why I love combining the fibs and the moving averages. Came down to the fib and the 50-week, remember. We're on a different time scale now. That's why the moving averages change. Came back up. So it's technically, with these daily candles still inside this channel, came up to the 618, come back down. Is the 200 going to hold support? Do you like this channel enough to buy at the lower ends of the channel around 17? Could it wick again? You can set a buy order on Robinhood for 16 and some change, wherever you want, 16.16, 16.2, if it gets there again. But as I talked about, those stochastic RSIs, it may still have some room to fall. And so it might be beneficial to wait for some confirmation in those indicators. Now, I don't blame anyone for just purely buying the discount, but do know without those confirmation indicators, it can always go lower. Now, that being said, if that was a bottom and you're looking to buy the 0.5, then hey, you're buying the bottom, and that's very hard to do. It's extra risk to do that. But if you wait for the confirmation indicators, then what you're looking for is a profit sandwich. So you don't need the very bottom, you don't need the very top. You're okay getting rid of the bread. You don't like bread. You got a gluten allergy. You're okay with the 80% of all the good stuff that's in the middle. So that's the way I look at those indicators, like the stochastic RSI and the MACD. Let's go over to AVAX. And AVAX, my God. So this one's been in a massive wedge. Okay, you can see that from its prior high to low. It's still within that wedge, kind of, but now to me, this looks like it's for sure breaking down out of it. So not great for AVAX. That fib looks like it's on log scale to me. So got to the 618. It probably even got to the golden pocket. Wasn't quite able to get above it. So we're going to add in the golden pocket fib. That's the 0.65. Let's add in some of these. I'll show you how I do my fibs right here. I like to also add in the 888 as well. And we'll turn the background down because it's too much noise going on. All right, this looks good. So yeah, if you look at from the macro high to low, again, how I drew my fib started, here's the fib tool, started up here, macro high to low, got to the golden pocket, created this high for the wedge. This one, it straight up touched a 0.65. I wasn't able to get above it. A lot of profit taking there. And now it's breaking under the wedge. So getting under the wedge, trying to hold on to that 382 fib. Remember what I said, some people believe the 382 fib is another way to decide if something can still be bullish or if it's dying. And speaking of that 382 fib, what do we see here? The candle body on the weekly sitting right on top of it. So yes, it wicked down underneath there. And let's take a good look at that wick. Where did it wick to? If we look to the left, just got a little bit lower than this point, but sort of right in line with some of these wicks here. So these wicks were all bought up. Excuse me. I recently was sick. I haven't been feeling a little bit better, but still have a cough hanging on. So, you know, the way you could look at this from a bullish mindset, you could say, well, Mr. Market Psychologist, if we go truly to where that wick is, and yes, there's a little bit of space there for anyone who's bearish, there we go. You can say, well, if you have a bullish perspective, this wick, that's all there is out of the wedge. It's only a wick. Just kind of like here, it's only a wick. Was it breaking up and out? Well, technically, no. It kind of faked us out. Got in that golden pocket. Came down, so that's really not technically breaking out of the wedge quite yet on the macro time frame. But we want to see that 382 hold up. So if you like AVAX, this is a discount right now. And from the recent peak overall, that is at a 62% discount. From the overall peak, I'm just trying to add perspective for you guys here. From the overall peak, that's an 85% discount. So something to think of. If you like these cryptos, those are the discounts from the recent peaks and the all-time highs. So in my opinion, I don't hate buying at those levels, but we don't have confirmation quite yet. Let's look at stochastic. I mean, it's still bottoming, but it's kind of in that oversold area now. And let's also take a look at, this one's just been dying more. Let's take a look at the MACD. Yeah, it's already red. And going to give you any bit of bullishness, relative strength, possible turnaround. I mean, right there was bearish divergence, higher price, lower strength. Yeah, I mean, here it'd just be bearish. So, wait to see a bottom on the RSI, and hopefully it kind of stays around there. All right, so we've done DOGE, we've done Link, we've done AVAX. Lastly, let's take a look at BONK. BONK, I've talked about how it's possible this cycle that compared to the last cycle where it was Doge and Shiba, that maybe it's Pepe and BONK this cycle as far as the two new darling meme coins. So Pepe and BONK have been the two I've been paying attention to. And as we take a look here at, sorry, my training view, I have to I've had this scrolling issue and trying to do the full screen stuff, and yeah, it's a mess. Anyways, recently that high that BONK made, I want you to see this. So as I talk about some of these cryptos, when we have these big bull moves in prior cycles, let me go back to the rainbow chart reference here. From the 2017 cycle, I was in there halfway through the year, made some good money. There were altcoins in here that did well in alt season that only got back to the 786 fib, which is not right here. It's off log scale, but that only got to the 786 fib. Last cycle, that was XRP, Bitcoin Cash, many others. So the 786 fib can be the start of when you take some profits, maybe part of your initial buy-in, so then you're playing with house money if you're buying way down here. However, when these things start to rocket off, one of the first extensions where there will be profit taking is the 1618. So XRP, I think it's been somewhere around the 1618, maybe a little bit higher, close to the 2618. Other altcoins recently, they've been getting to the 1618, and look at that wick. That's where sellers are coming in. So we have this wick, where buyers are coming in right at this area. We'll see what true fib it's on. But as far as the price extensions, that was a 1618. So don't be shocked that there were some buyers there. All right, putting our fib back on log scale because we're looking at prices between the high to the low. What do we see? Well, that wick, that actually was the 382. We talked about how the 382 has to hold. Now, from that peak, that I guess you could say all-time high, BONK has fallen about 77%. Let's get it true here. When you zoom in, by the way, and you go in on smaller time frames, you will see some changes in where these wicks can go. So 77%. Do you love BONK? Yes or no? Is this one of the altcoins you love and you want to buy some BONK? Well, here would be partly if I was trying to convince you, and I'm not, if I was trying to convince you to buy BONK and we haven't gotten a reversal or anything yet, I'd say, well, it's close to the 382 and it's, as of right now, 70% off, over 70% off. Let's take a look at this, 73% off. So if you like something a lot to buy it, you can say, well, it's 73% off from the top. And so that's the discount we have right now. Now, maybe it's a Kohl's discount where, it's the markup was kind of BS anyways. And is this truly 70% off or is this its actual value? That depends on your perspective. But right now, I mean, hey, BONK is down here in the trenches. If we go back to the weekly, so the price we're looking at, we're not too far from that 382, but we want to see this hold up and we don't want to see new lows get created. Going over to the weekly. One thing I will say, I'm just kind of taking a look at this chart overall. We've been talking about bonks for a while, and then, as it got past this trend line, had that big breakout. One thing, I don't know, maybe I'm just seeing things. Let's try this out. It almost looks like we have a parallel channel. Does it not? Maybe I'm just seeing things. We'll check this here. I'd say that looks like a channel to me. That does kind of look like a channel to me because we have these bottoms that line up and we have these tops that line up, at least with these wicks, not as much these. These wicks would be parallel as well. And so, that might be a cause for concern that we have this channel and it broke down and underneath it. All right, so that might be one reason for concern or something to be cautious of. Let's add on some other indicators. Why can I not scroll up? There we go. Let's see. Let's go through our RSIs. All right, ultimate RSI. Not a lot to look for. I mean, it's close to the bottom-ish territory. Let's go to. We just did that one. Let's do stochastic. Stochastic, it's in that bottoming area, so we're looking for it to flip up. But when it's in that bottoming area, I mean, you can take a look right here. It might take a month. It might take a month and settle. So maybe you're looking for price action support like what happened here in August. And by the way, does this recent altcoin sell-off not remind you a little bit of August? For me, it kind of does. So hopefully we see something similar here where the 382 provides support. And if it can, and we see, look at this. We had that 1 week where it started to tick up. Then maybe you could look at that 382 as discounted value. We can also take a look at, let's see, look at the moving average, because this thing, the moving average convergence divergence, I mean, my God, it's lower than it's ever been. So that might be a reason to say, maybe this is bottoming or close to a bottom, that it can only come back up. So the concern, yes, it broke under the channel, and that right there gives me a lot of pause. So, if you love BONK and you threw some quote unquote educated gambling money at it, I understand. But with meme coins, I do sort of lean on the side of caution and wait for some of that confirmation. But if BONK has that Shiba Inu potential and Pepe is a Doge potential from last cycle, it might be worth a little bit of a gamble. Of course, something you can afford, because I've also seen these meme coins fall off a cliff and go to absolutely nothing. So this is a bigger risk play, but it could have bigger returns too. So obviously, don't make it a huge part of your portfolio if you decide to buy it. Anyways, let me know what you think in the comments below. Like I said, I'm going to try to do a live stream tomorrow around 2 o'clock Central Time. I'll do my best to do it around that time. And I know seeing these low prices, if you're in any of these, that it sucks. At the same time, we're seeing these altcoins get into discounted value territory and good deep value discounted territory. So no confirmation yet, but in my opinion, good value nonetheless. It's hard to buy the bottoms and sell the tops. This could be a bottom, or at least, in my opinion, an area worth thinking about, considering dollar cost averaging. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful afternoon.